Hello everyone, we have a weird perspective today. I got the camera way up above me and I'm looking upwards at a weird angle. But that's so we can get some looks at what I am doing so you guys can see what I'm doing. What I have here is one of these Christmas copper wire sets. And I'm going to dissect it and see what we can do with it. I got my power supply over here, which is just barely off screen. If you've been following my videos for a while here, that might help some. Let me look and see how the camera's set up there. There we go. We can see my power supply here. My soldering station is here. I have both kinds of soldering irons here. Okay. And I am set up and ready to get started on this. The only thing I'm missing are some wire cutters, and they are right behind me. Okay. So, first things first, I need to open the battery case. Now, the battery case has a built-in timer in it. It's supposed to last for 6 hours. The battery case looks pretty waterproof to me, okay? So, maybe this thing is rated for being outside in the weather. I wouldn't try it, but you never know. It does have a weather seal on it by the looks of it. Yeah, it has a gasket around it, so it might be waterproof. I am going to try to bypass the battery compartment with my alligator clips on my power supply. This thing's for 4.5 volts, so I'm setting the power supply for 4.5 volts. Okay, it's set for 4.00 volts. Let's get her to 4.5. She's set for 4.5 volts. So I shouldn't overpower this. And positive should be here. And negative should be here. Let's see if I can clip onto that. I don't have the power supply turned on, so nothing's going to happen when I clip these. And I can see that they wired the negative lead to this. But getting the clips to clip onto it without dissecting it might be trouble. Okay? And I don't want to dissect it offhand. There we go. Let's see if that works. So let me give this some power. And we are at 4.5 volts. It says there is power going to it. And you're supposed to be able to push this button and get things to work. And I'm not getting anything to work. So I might have to cut some wires. Although this says it is taking 0.4 amps of current, so power's getting in there. Oh, I got it backwards. There's the problem. And you get diodes backwards, it's not going to work. So let's flip this wiring around. Hopefully I didn't blow the circuits inside the box, because some circuits are really delicate to getting the wiring straight. They really are. Those integrated circuits, they don't. You put the wiring in backwards, the voltage in backwards, and they just quit. Let's try it now. Try turning it on. Nothing. So I'm probably not getting the power in here right, which wouldn't surprise me. It looks like it's right though. Okay, well, I'm going to pause the camera for a little bit. Let's cut the power supply off. I'm going to pause the camera for a little bit. Well, maybe not. Let's try to bypass this. These are surface mount LEDs and they're pretty small. And just maybe, at one of these LED points, I can get some power in here. Now, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to cut this power way down. I'm going to cut it down to 2 volts. Reason being is these are white LEDs. They should run on 3. It looks like they put resin around the LEDs pretty well, so that it might not be possible for me to do this without removing the coating on the magnet wire. Well, it says there's current running through it, but not much. Now, I can go all the way up to 3 volts, and no, I'm not getting anything. So let me flip the polarity of this and see if something's happening. And if I can get something to light up, then we know what's going on there. Because I'm trying just to light this one LED. No, nothing. And it says there's a little bit of a current going through, but that could just be internal current. Nothing. I might have to dissect it. I might have to cut it, and that's something I have not really wanted to do. Here's the end of the wiring. Now at the end of the wiring they did something funny. They put some shrink wrap around it, and I can see how they shrunk wrap the end. I'm trying to avoid dissecting at the moment. Let me get a screwdriver and take apart this top cover, because if I take apart the top cover I have access to the circuit board and I will be able to see what's inside it. Now, the whole reason I'm trying to do this is if I can dissect this thing, I have a whole bunch of pre-wired LEDs for little to no money. That's what I'm really after, is pre-wired surface mount LEDs for next to nothing. And wouldn't you know it, my screwdrivers for this sort of thing are not upstairs. They're downstairs. So I'm going to have to stop recording to get those screwdrivers, or I can take it apart the mean, nasty way and just cut it apart. It wasn't that expensive since I got it on a Christmas clearance sale. I paid like $1 for this thing. But that's no excuse for mistreating items. Oh yeah, my screwdrivers are definitely not upstairs. So I'm going to pause recording. I'll come back in a little bit. I'm going to go get screwdrivers from downstairs. I don't know how they all got downstairs. They shouldn't have, but they are. And I will be back in a little bit to show you what the inside looks like. All right, got the screwdrivers, got inside there. There is an IC chip. There is glue all over the inside of this thing. Let me see if we can zoom in more. That's manual zoom. That's as far as the remote zoom will go. I have to stick my hands up to the camera to get this thing to zoom more. Wrong way. Right there, centered. That's one good thing about this camera. It's got a good optical zoom on it. There you go. There's the inside of that box. Okay? I can see where the positive comes in, the negative comes in. It is 4.5 volts. So, let me get my negative jumper and hit it. That should be fine on the negative. It's a positive one. I wasn't sure I was hitting right. And that's going to go there. That should catch that. Okay? I'm going to not run 2 volts. I'm going to go ahead and jump to 4 volts. Because 3 AA batteries, 1.5 each, 3 times 1.5 is 4.5. This thing should run on 4.5 volts. Now, if we hit our... There we go. Can everyone see? They are now lighting up. Okay? We now have light. So, they do run on 4.5 volts there. I don't know what they're jumpering to outside of there. Okay? But I can bypass the battery box easy enough and get some light going this way. Now, they are definitely magnet wire. There's no way they're not because of the wire touching each other constantly. Okay? So basically what this set is a bunch of small surface mount LEDs. Each surface mount LED is covered in resin and connected by magnet wire, and they're all running in parallel. As far as I can tell, that's what this is. And if they are running all in parallel, let me bring the camera back where we can see me and not just a box. If they are all running in parallel, that means each one of these is getting the same voltage. We're running 4 volts in to this. So that means these lights are receiving their normal voltage. It's because they're plenty bright as it is. So there must be a small voltage regulator in there. And the switch, it just shifts from timer to on. Okay? And the little circuit in there is just basically a timer and a voltage reducer. What I should do now is get my voltmeter and see if I can measure the voltage on the output. Okay? And see what's going on there. So let me go get the voltmeter. It's pretty close to where I'm sitting. Okay. And I can measure the voltage the power supply is giving it pretty easily with Mr. Voltmeter. I don't know, can we see that screen on camera just fine? Okay, maybe if I take some of these and put them up there, well, that does help, but it's not really necessary. If I turn this light back on, you'll be able to see it better. Yeah, you guys can see that. Alright, I got my voltage probes. Now let's verify what voltage the power supply is providing real quick. If I can leave this on there. And see, it's reading 4 volts almost perfectly. What the flipping around is me moving my probes a little bit. Okay? Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the output voltage correct on this because it is covered in glue when I look down in there. And you can see my head getting in here where I'm trying to see. Alright, this is definitely one of the power out leads. And that other power out lead is covered inside there. Okay? So short of dissecting it, there's no way that's got 11, well, it's microvolts. So it's not really reading correctly. This is a self-adjusting voltmeter. Right now it's reading microvolts. If I put it back on the power leads, it shifts the volts. Okay? Let me shut off my power supply real quick. And I'm going to have to dissect this a little bit. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to. But sacrificing one isn't sacrificing the whole thing. You know, all of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sacrifice the end cap of this. Because I can always redo this end. And we can see what voltage is coming across this thing by cutting the end of this off. So let me cut the end of this off. Now, again, this is magnet wire, so there is a coating on this wire. Okay? Now, one way of getting that coating off is to burn it off. And in order to burn that off, I'm going to need a cigarette lighter. I have one up here because, well, I have a candle. And candles can be useful when you're working with models. If you want to melt a part, for example, to give it some damage of some sort, you could be able to do it that way. Maybe I don't have a candle lighter up here. I thought I did. And maybe someone came in here and took it. The family comes in here sometimes and grabs stuff and doesn't tell me they grabbed it, and that can be kind of annoying at times. Or I misplaced it. It's one of the two, which found it. Let's see, will this work? No, that didn't work. Maybe some of you remember that from Dr. Cranky's costume contest way back in the past. Oh boy. I can't have that playing. We can't have the TV playing in the background because, well, the YouTube copyright police will take away my video rights. So we burn that coating off this wire. Gotta be careful because you can actually damage the wire. See it smoking? That means the coating's burning off. And I can feel the wire heating up where my fingers are, so I'm sure I've burned that off some. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is turn this back on. Hit the power button so we have lightage again. We can see things are lit up. My volt probes are kind of funny because, is that cooled down enough? Yeah. They don't clip. I can get clip-on voltage probes if I want. I just didn't. So what are we reading for voltage? It's jumping. We can't be reading 0.3 volts. That doesn't work. It's all over the place. And that's predominantly the motion of the wire as we hold it. And I know it is. It's reading negative. I got it backwards. And dropping a voltage probe doesn't help. Let me flip my voltage probes. Let me see if I can get some alligator clips on them, because that will work better than what I'm doing now. Those are banana plugs. Okay, I got the alligator clips for the voltage probe. Sorry, should be really prepared for this, shouldn't I? Or maybe I should do just a bunch of cutscenes. But, you know, this is what I get for not being 100% prepared. Okay, so we can clip this one on this end of the thing. And I can just set it down and not have to hold it. Now this end of the voltage probe doesn't want the alligator clip on. There we go. And if I clip that on there and just set it down, we should be able to get a steady reading. It's reading microvolts, which means I probably didn't quite get that coating off the end of the wire, because that's essentially zero. Honestly, that's essentially zero. So the coating is still on the end of that wire. Uh-oh. I lost voltage is all from the power supply. And then I have to click the thing to get it going again. I might have to actually cut this up more than I wanted to. Tell you guys what, I'm going to go away and fix this because that's reading zero. I'm going to go away. I'll come back when I get a reading on it so you don't have to sit here and watch this for who knows how long. Okay, I got it. I don't know if you can read it, but it says negative 2.6 volts. So they are dropping the voltage down to 2.6 volts. And now I'm not running the proper voltage through this thing to begin with. Now I'm going to put new fresh battery voltage on it. And let's see what it reads. Almost 3 volts. And that's what the light should be running. A little under 3 volts. So they are resistoring, but it's a relative resistor. As the voltage changes, so does the voltage through the wires. And if I'm reading 2.7 volts at the end of this thing, they're definitely all wired in parallel. Okay? That means I can clip them apart and put them together however I want. And I have a whole bunch of surface mounted LEDs pre-wired. They're already insulated. The wiring's already insulated. You're just stuck with the length of wire that you have provided, but it's fine. Okay? I shouldn't have any problems with these whatsoever, cutting them apart and using them. What was wrong is this alligator clip wasn't making contact. And there's no way it's reading 8 volts. If it was reading 7 volts like it was a second ago, oh, those millivolts. Yeah, that's what was wrong. This clip wasn't making contact properly. So there you go. These Christmas lights should be fine. Again, this is what I bought. I bought them in an after Christmas sale. I was paying about $1.50 a box for them. It says $8.99. They were on 75–80% off. So you do 75% of $9. Yeah, that's really $9 divided by 4, which 9 times 0.25. Give me a second and I'll get $1.75 each. That's what I was paying for these things. And they contain, how many LEDs? It doesn't say on the front of the box. 30. So I got 30 pre-wired SMD LEDs for $1.75 with a controller box that has a timer on it. I'm sure I can use that timer because the timer on the controller box is for 6 hours and the output is 3 volts. And input's 4.5 volts. So I'm sure I can use that box for something somewhere. On something. Unfortunately, it won't work with any of the timing chips that I have videos on YouTube. It won't work with any of those simply because they require 5.5 volts to even start. And this is 4.5 volts native battery. You could splice in there and run off the battery. I wouldn't run a 555 timer chip off batteries. It's going to drain those batteries quick. A 4060 CMOS chip could run off those batteries. But still, you don't have enough volts. You need at least 5 batteries to do that, and this is 3. But the good part is, well, that would work for certain things, like a TIE fighter where you don't have any blinking lights, or a Battlestar Galactica Viper. You could use that box on that really easily as a power supply, and has a built-in timer chip. So all around, this isn't wasteful. Okay? And I'm glad I got this working the way it is, and it will get put to good use. I come across a deal like that one again, I'll buy more of them. $9, I wouldn't buy it for $9. Not for this use. Your wife might have a use for it for $9, putting it in a glass vase or something to making it pretty. But not me. Okay, my wife doesn't have a use for these that way. She looked at them and went, nope. Why are you buying those? You know how women can be. She didn't see the intrinsic value of it and torn apart in tiny little pieces. All right, so I'm going to go. I'm going to get busy. I did do some transparent blue painting. You will see that video clip if you haven't already. And it was horrible. I'm going to have to start that one all over again. Because, well, I blotched that one badly. I haven't painted with transparent blue paint in a long time. And the last time I remember doing it, I hand painted it instead of airbrushing it. So that was a new experience. You'll get to see all that. And we'll be back in a little while. I'm glad I got that torn apart and got a good look at it. I will talk to all of you later. Let me get the remote and bye-bye.